Hey guys, it's me, Phoenix Labs here, and today I'm bringing you a video on why my local hobby shop should not give me any discounts. Here we have Revell's 1/48 scale SR-71 Blackbird. This kit came out in, I believe, 2021, contains 170 parts, and is almost 2 feet long. This box is ginormous. Like, I had to remount my camera and everything. It is huge. And what that pretty much means is that the kit itself is also huge. So, let's get into it. Starting off at the top here, we have the rather immaculate box artwork by, seems to be a individual by the name of Shepherd. And it depicts a SR-71 flying through the atmosphere. Very nice, very well detailed. At the bottom we have the Revell logo. It's a level 5 kit, whatever that means. Ages 13 up, 170 parts. And it's an all-new tooling, something that is pretty unique when it, or I shouldn't say unique, but something you don't see all that often when it comes to Revell. But yeah, let's take a look at the sides here. Fortunately, because of my camera setup, I can't zoom out too much. Here we have the characteristics of how big this kit is. 26 inches, which is over 2 feet. The wingspan is also over a foot. And it's got waterside decals, and it's molded in light gray. I'm definitely not reading off of there. Some more information. And then finally, some paint callouts. Unfortunately, I have to hold the box at an angle because it's just so big. All these are for Revell kits, or not kits, but Revell paints. Side of the box is also an SR-71, the SR-71 box art. And on the top side, just gonna quickly take you off of your mount. Top side, we can see this kit built. Seems to be a straight black finish. Very nice. Some shots of the interior, which look nice and detailed. Afterburner and the landing gear bay. Very nice. All right. Let's see what's actually in this kit. Starting off from the top here, we have, seems to be the first and main sprue containing the 2 halves of the fuselage, and damn, these things are huge. Ginormous even. And like, I know I said that this kit earlier was 2 feet, but actually having it in front of you is just, wow. To kind of give a perspective on how big this is, there's my forearm compared to it. And I'm not a small guy, I'm over 6 feet. Pretty skinny though. But still, this thing is, the size of these parts are just like awe-inspiring, and for such a large pieces, they look really, really well molded. These pieces are almost so big that the bag they come in almost can't fit them, if I'm funny. We see some nice panel lines. These ones don't seem to be all that deep, but they're really crisp. The texture of the mold itself is nice. Seems to be the lower half of the fuselage. Here we have those grates, or well, I'm gonna call it grate. They're probably not actually called that, but all nice in there. Coming towards the back, see even more of those nice details. And ending off with a bit of the tail. This part looks really well molded. Don't see any deformations on it. It looks like the parts should fit together really well. Flipping over to the larger half, the upper half. More of the same with the bomb one. Very nicely detailed. Doesn't seem to be any rivet detail on this kit. So far, at least. So, if you're a guy who's a fan of that, you'll have to do that, but I don't think that the SR-71 is well known for having any rivets on it. Looking at these parts of the cockpit, looks like a little bit is molded on there, which if you're going to be using a resin cockpit, you're probably going to have to cut that out. But otherwise, looks completely adequate. Got a hole up here. And overall, as I said, absolutely ginormous. Also really cool. Alright, moving on here. We have a divider, which seems to be printed back or black on the top. Looks like it's being used to help protect the upper halves of the fuselage, which is awesome. Looks like we have 6 bags in here, each with a varying amount of sprues. I think in total we have somewhere around 10 of them here. Starting off the top here, we have what looks to be various internal parts, including bits of the instrument panel and other cockpit bits, plus some engine parts, which themselves seem to be marked out with numbers on them. A lot of these actually seem to have numbers both on the piece and also the sprue, so it'll be really hard to confuse any of these, which is really, really nice. Always enjoy that. Here we have this ginormous spar, which I'm going to assume that you're going to be using this to help keep the structure of the aircraft, which I find really funny. More parts. Looking at this instrument panel. Pretty decently molded. Though, if you're spending so much money on one kit, usually these kits go for around $100. You'll probably want to invest a little extra in a cockpit so you can get the absolute most of your money. These air inlets look really nicely molded. I'm gonna have to paint them before assembly. And not sure what that is, but it's probably the nose of something. Second sprue we had in there Seems to have bits of wing, what I'm going to assume is a tailplane, and parts of the engine. And of course, cockpit. Once again, pretty decently molded. Got all the detail. Got a completely adequate level of detail in there. Though I know a lot of people will probably replace this cockpit with something else. Still very nice. Moving on to this second bag. We have 3 sprues. Starting off the top here, we have the landing gear. Might assume to be a part of the landing gear bay. Pitot tubes, which look decently molded, though looks like they'll need some cleanup. And of course the engine nozzles, which seem to be made up of various parts. Once again, also decently molded, but I can see these being replaced by resin also, just like the cockpit. Here we have more internal bits, what look to be structural parts and bits of the landing gear bays, landing gear bay doors, and air intake ramps, or at least what I assume to be air intake ramps of some sort. Look to be more doors, and some wires up here. Here we have another cockpit, another instrument panel, which, just like the other one, completely adequate, though I can see these being replaced. And then the nose section, which looks like there's different parts you can use for the nose. Very, very nicely molded. Very interesting shape, so I'm sure it was very hard to make that, but otherwise pretty nice. Panel line still pretty crisp, though not all that deep. Very nice. Moving on to this third bag. Just to be all engine bits. Seems like that part's caught in there. There we go. Looks like we have the ejection seat here. Pretty decent, though I could definitely see better. The cushion part's pretty good. It's even got molded on seat belts, but the seat itself looks pretty weak. The wheels look pretty good. What looks to be the ram cone for one of the engines, as well as various turbine parts for the engine. And what looks to be some more parts for landing gear. Very nice. More of the same with the other sprue. And this other bag is just the same as the other one, so we're not going to look at it. Then finally, oh actually no, not finally. Second to last, we have these translucent parts. Where did I put my knife? There it is. Here we have 2 translucent sprues. Oop. Here we have the canopy, which looks a bit fogged up around where you're going to paint, but the actual door itself is, or window itself is really nice. Translucent piece there. Front windshield and another canopy part. Very nice and translucent. Doesn't look mismolded at all. Though I will say that the that front piece does look a little easy to break, so be careful. We put this one back into its baggie, so that way they don't get all scuffed up. And then finally, this big guy right here. So various amounts of tape holding this thing in. Here we have the stabilizers, I believe, as well as the covers for those ginormous engines. Very much like the fuselage, well molded. No rivet detail, but otherwise it is very, very nice. Clean. And exactly, or I shouldn't say exactly, but pretty good for what you'll want out of this kit. So, insides, a lot of these ejection pin marks around, but pretty sure none of them are going to be seen once this kit is assembled, so not a big problem there. And then finally, we have the decals and the instruction booklet. Alright. Let's start off here actually looking at the decals themselves. They look pretty solid. Plenty of reds, which will look really nice on that black. And then also lots of whites. The Skunk Works logo. Decals for the instrument panels, which look pretty detailed. And plenty of various stencils and the like, as well as no step lines. Those guys are going to be a bit of a pain to put on, but sure, with patience and being careful, you can get them on pretty easily, so not the largest concern. Safety booklet. Of course, here on this YouTube channel, we are not safe at all, so. Alright, let's get to this instruction booklet. Here we have examples of various tips and tricks, I guess, even though they're just pictures. Shows how you should clean the model and snip them and test fit before gluing. All very useful. How to put on decals. Very useful for the beginner modeler. Paint callouts. Assumedly for Revell paints. Surprising amount of different colors used in this very black kit. Final ones. Not sure what all of that is. But here we have all the sprues. All the sprues listed and all the parts you're going to be using. And then finally, we get to the actual build right here, where it looks like we take the lower half of the fuselage and glue it using the structure piece that we were looking at earlier. Seems like it goes along the kit itself and is supposed to help keep its form. Then you start building the landing gear. Landing gear bay, I should say. Then the landing gear. More landing gear, surprisingly. More landing gear. And then down here, we have the assembly for the cockpit. What's really cool is that they have all the parts in color, so you know how all of them are supposed to look, or vaguely how they're supposed to look. You know which parts are supposed to be black and green and gray. All of that. Very useful. More of the cockpit assembly. And then painting the tops of the cockpit. And the tops of the top half of the fuselage. It's actually kind of surprising that you put that big thing on so early. Tail. And then the engine assembly, which is what seems to be what most of these parts are made out of. Very nice. More engine assembly. And then finally, after putting all those together, you can put them on the halves of the fuselage. The two halves onto the fuselage. Here's the nose, which looks like there's two different versions you can do, which I'm guessing is going to be in the paint callouts. So depending on which, however you're going to paint this kit, you'll use a different nose. Here we have the stabilizer, rudders, flaps, more of that assembly. Landing gear bay doors if you're having them closed. And then more landing gear assembly, wheels, landing gear bay doors on this right side. And then finally, a bunch of clear pieces, canopy assembly, and the pitot tube. Sweet. Very nice. Moving on here, we have the paint maps. Lots of decals, obviously for all those stencils. Which one is called out here. And then the bottom half here, where it seems to have a white cross section, which is very interesting. I actually didn't know that SR-71s had those. Or maybe I did and I forgot. That's totally possible. I think those two paint callouts are for, they're in general ones, so they're for all of these aircraft. And then the first actual specific aircraft we have is right here. AF-61, and it seems like it has bunch of airspeed records from 1976. This guy is a flight test aircraft at Edwards Air Force Base. Very similar to that other one we were looking at, but this one has the Skunk Works logo. And then here we have a separate general stencil example thing. Stencil map. This one does not have that white underbelly, so that makes sense. This is probably for active use SR-71s. Here we have this red guy who seems to also have a bunch of air records underneath his belt. Very nice. Skunk Works logo, red label. And then finally we have this guy, which looks like the last flight of this aircraft, so it doesn't have the Skunk Works logo, and it has a nice, cool red tail on there. So that seems to be, I'm going to quickly count, 1, 2, 3, 4. There seems to be 4 different paint schemes that come with this kit, so definitely gives you all you'll ever need for examples they can paint. Very nice. Very cool. All right, so final thoughts. There aren't a lot of new SR-71 kits out there, at least that I can think of off the top of my head. Most of them are in 1/72nd scale, which is... It kind of alludes to the big problem I have with this kit. So, as I said, there's a lot of there's a few SR-71 kits out there. Most of them are 1/72nd scale. And a lot of them are pretty old tooling, so they may or may not hold up today. I haven't built any other SR-71s, but I'm sure that as time has progressed, any ones that were made in like the 80s and 90s probably could have been done better. So, getting to this specific kit, I think it's pretty solid. As I said, it's usually around $100, which for an aircraft of this size is completely expected. As I said, it is 2 feet long, 1 foot wide, and I can't think of any other model kits that are of those dimensions. The last giant model kit I built, which was the Minicraft SU-33 in 1/48 scale, was, I'm pretty sure it was just a bit smaller than this one. Definitely not as long, but overall quite a bit smaller, and it was $90, though I will say that kit had a lot more parts and was a lot more detailed. Detail is another thing that another problem I have with this kit. The interior detail is just adequate. The exterior decal, or not decal, but detail it's good. It's definitely well shaped and very large. Panel lines look great and all. But I don't know. It is probably good, but I feel like the lack of any rivet detail is odd. I'm not sure if there was any on the exterior of the SR-71, but I feel like there should be, so I definitely think that if you're building this kit and you want it to be as accurate as possible, you'll have to figure out where those rivets are, but, you know, it could also just be the case that there aren't any, but I highly doubt that. So, overall, its overall size justifies the price. The decals look good. The instructions were easy to follow. Not part heavy at all, at least for the size. And yeah, no, overall pretty solid kit. At least that I feel, having not built it yet. Just real quick, I wanted to kind of give a demonstration on how ginormous this kit is. This is the SU-33 I mentioned earlier, and as you can see, it's pretty big. It takes up this entire box. I also did a video on this guy, which, a little bit of dust there, which, if you guys want to watch that, it's somewhere on my channel. Didn't upload it too long ago. But to just kind of demonstrate how big this kit is, when I built this kit, it was the largest I've built to this point. And as I said, it was $100 when I purchased it. And yeah, this thing is, this SR-71 is ginormous. Like, it's really hard to get on front, get it dangerous here, and yeah, no, let's not do that. Let's put you down in there. Then you can see what I mean by this. This kit is giant. That SU-33 is huge. I can barely fit it anywhere. And it is comfortably small compared to just like the fuselage halves. It's a ridiculously large kit. So yeah, no, that was just like the final tangent I kind of want to go on with this kit. It's very big. Big can be a problem because, as I said, it was hard to find anywhere to put this SU-33, and I have no idea where I'm going to put this SR-71, but you know, as long as you plan ahead and know where exactly you're going to put this kit, the size will not be a giant issue. Get it? Anyways, this was Phoenix Labs signing off here. Hope you have a wonderful day.